Alright, so we're going to be trying a new format when it comes to me doing my videos and stuff. And in today's video, we'll be talking about consistency and how to be consistent when playing a Battle Royale game. Now, this will also allow you to be better overall in the game, be much stronger overall in the game, as well as also being able to basically improve yourself overall in the game. But we'll get more into details with that as we progress. For now, let's go ahead and roll the intro, shall we? Alright, so here we are in the game, and I'm gonna, of course, you won't see my mic, but it is there, so, my mic is basically on the side. But yeah, we're going to be talking about how to be more consistent in your games. Now, first and foremost, if you're in a new season of, like, Fortnite, for instance, as today we're going to be talking about being consistent in Fortnite, then first of all, foremost, you gotta learn the map. You gotta learn the area. Learn exactly what you are planning to do. Once you've learned the area and stuff, then you can basically start deciding where you want to land. And in this case, we're going to I'll show you all the map on the season, this season, which is Chapter 2, Season 3, as I'm recording this. And I will make update videos on being consistent and stuff at every season, just so you can see where I like to land and where I personally like to go to. And you can, of course, make your own informed decision on where you want to go. But, as you can see, we have all these areas. In this case, I'm going to be always landing in Caddy Corner. That's kind of my zone right there. That's the zone I decided. But, of course, I still have a little bit of the map to discover. I have the log jam, which is right there, if you remember, in Chapter 2, Season 2. But, yeah. And don't worry, I will skip a lot of this boring wait time sequence because, yeah, I'm probably not going to be doing much. We'll talk about keybinds and stuff later on, but don't worry, I'm going to probably skip the rest of this boring sequence for you. And, yeah, we'll just get to the landing area, buddy. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and jump here. And because we are heading to Caddy Corner, which is right there, it may not work out, it may work out, it depends. People really like Caddy Corner, so it is going to be a contested zone. But, just gotta remember that. Once you decide on a zone you want to land in, you've got to, make the effort to land there. I mean, just make the effort to land there. And, try to be consistent on your landing, Give yourself the, opportunity to, of course, get there, land, and, of course, make it happen, Because, again, you want to be consistent on your zones. You want to make it to where you are basically, in control of the area from the moment you land, And, that's something that's important to realistically being, decent at the game, is, knowing that you've gotta land in these zones. You gotta be able to kind of take control where you can. That's what I mean by you've gotta be consistent when it comes to landing in your zones. Like, know where you want to land. Decide where you want to land before you, once you know what you want to do. I mean, obviously, it's gonna maybe not work out. It may work out. It all really just depends. But you gotta be, knowing once you got a zone that you want to land in, and you got a zone that you like, you've got to know where you want to go. You got to go to that zone pretty much all the time. Don't divert from that zone. So, in this case, you know, again, we're going to show you the map. We're coming in from Craggy Cliffs. So, of course, we still have 30 docks there. If you all remember in Chapter 2, Season 2, there was 30 docks right over there. But, yeah, we're going to go back to California, of course. That's kind of like I said, where I want to land. That's been my zone, if you will. If you will, that's been my zone. That's where I like to land. You know, now, you don't have to land there. You know, if you are trying to... If you're not competitive, then don't worry about landing in some zone like Catty Corner. You know, you could land somewhere like Pleasant Park if you want to. But yeah. Anyway, while we're waiting, I'm gonna probably cut a bit of this part, just so you all know. So, you know, we're approaching the landing. I could probably cut a little bit of that part. So now that we're approaching the landing, because Catty Corner is a little further away from where we want to be, from where we are wanting to be, or from where we were starting out, we gotta make a longer drop. So, don't worry, I'll cut probably a little bit of this part so that you all don't have to see me all glide all the way down here. So, plan your drops accordingly, and, you know, of course, know which spot you want to go to. In my case, I want to go to that spot there. Alright, so here we are landing... very close. We got one guy right here. Who's coming in. We're going to give this guy a little whack. And that didn't work. Again, sometimes if you have people who are landing in the same zone as you, remember that it's going to be a hard zone. This is going to be one of those times where, like, for me, that didn't really work very well. Now, it could have been better, obviously. But, obviously, you know, that guy got one easy extra hit off me before I could get a hit off him. So, obviously, it didn't really work as well as it should have. But, you know. But, yeah, and then, you know, that's something that you gotta realize. Your zone will be contested depending on what zone it is. You know, every zone is different. No matter how you look at it, every zone is different. Every zone is either going to be hit or miss, depending on the situation. And of course, depending on what happens, you know, obviously. Now, again, let's look at the map. Now, remember, you probably should do this every time you get a chance at it. But, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So, when it comes down to it, you always want to look at the map and where you're going. So, in this case, we're entering from the Sweaty Sands. We're going to go to Catty Corner. Now, for us, it's probably better for us to go all the way to about maybe here, drop, and then enter Catty Corner. But, again, that's just exactly where I'm thinking. But yeah, don't worry, I will, go ahead and cut ahead, of course, to the next part when we are going into, you know, the drop and stuff. Alright, here we are getting towards the drop. Now, I would recommend you have at least 1,000 meters or less to drop into your particular zone. This way you have enough room to basically glide right on into where you want to be. Like I said, 1,000 meters or more or less should give you the perfect angle from what I've found to get into the zone that you want to go to. You know, I would say probably a little less than 1,000 meters, but, you know. But if you're trying to get into a particular zone, like, for instance, now, remember that when you are deciding on where you want to go, it's not always going to be perfect. I mean, you know, many people think that, you know, being consistent means that you're going to, or not being consistent means that you're going to have the same results every time. It may not always happen that you'll have the same results every time, and you've got to have the game sense to decide to get out of there. Now, in this case, I was trying to just see if I could bust my way out, because, you know, I thought, they may not have much ammo, I may be able to pose my way out of there, but, because I got a sniper, yeah, that was probably one of those times where you've got to get out of there. And that's the same thing about being consistent. When you're being consistent in any game, especially in, like, BRs, if you're going to decide to do consistency where you have to land in a zone and all that other stuff, take advantage to see where you're going. Now, of course, it may not always end up with you being in a optimal position. Like, for instance, if you're like me where you dropped a little bit early and you were just, like, a little early, but you couldn't see anything, you've just got to kind of recognize the situation and go, okay, should I get out there? Should I not get out there? What should I do? And that's up to you when you're deciding your position and your state. Personally, I mean, of course, if you have the optimization to see what's going on, then I would suggest you get out there while you can, because again, that's going to set you up for better later on gameplay fights. But remember, if you're trying to go for the early drop, you may not always be paying attention to what's going on, and if you don't pay attention or you don't see the person who's dropping right next to you, then obviously take the time to get out of there if you can. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't get out of there or you should get out of there, but but I do think that you should consider getting yourself out if you can. Of course, always have a backup zone, backup landing. Places where you can go to. That's something that you gotta determine for yourself, of course. I mean, always be aware of your situation. Be aware of what's going on, where everyone is, and what's happening. I mean, those are the first few things to being successful. When it comes down to being consistent in your zone and stuff. Like, once you know where you want to land, be aware of your situations. Take your time. That's something that you've gotta do. Every single time. You gotta basically take your time. Be aware of your situations. Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing. Know what you're looking for, where you're going. And know exactly what you want to. What you want to do, Because again, like it is. You're going to find it better to be more consistent overall when you are taking your time, Now, like I said, you've got to just be consistent. Be aware of your situations. Know exactly what you're doing, Or know exactly what you want to, per se, And that's why the first few things is knowing exactly what you want to do, Of course. And of course, you gotta remember, you gotta contest the zone. It's okay to, to be a little off, if you will. This. If you're playing this, and let's just say you decide to go into Catty Corner like I am, which is a mythic zone where of course you're going to find bloody mythic items every time, it's going to be filled with NPCs. NPCs are always going to have the fill up, overall. That's something that I think will always happen. So, just remember that in Season 3, Chapter 2, Season 3, NPCs are always going to be filling up those areas. The areas where, where you want to land or something like that. Now, that's just something that will happen, I'm not saying that it won't happen, but it's something that will happen when it does happen. Now, is it something that's going to always happen every time? Maybe not. But you gotta realize that NPCs will always be in those hotspot areas where you want that mythic item, if you decide to land in a mythic item area. And what are the mythic item areas? Well, you got the Fortilla, you've got Cat Corner, and you got the Authority. These are the three areas right now that have mythic items. So you've got to remember that where those mythic items are, there's always going to be NPCs and also going to be the potential, and I say potential, player who's just going to try to run into that area. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead. You will see a cut, to when I, go into the landing to try again. But before I do, remember, that's just part of being consistent. Part of being consistent is landing in the same zone, failing maybe a lot of times, and learning exactly what you gotta do. Now, remember, of course, sometimes RNG will always play a factor. Sometimes RNG will be the bane of your existence to being successful. But, but of course, over time, you'll get better at it. And over time, you will learn the most efficient way to be effective. Obviously, you also want to have, have a way of, gaining mats quickly. Remember, mats are important to making your, your play successful or not. Some backup ready to go in case you run into that situation where it's like, oh crap, I just got caught by somebody, or somebody is right in my spot. I'm going to have to move or something, This is okay. I mean, remember that. It's okay to have, some contestment. If you're trying to be better at the game, and obviously I think many of us are trying to get better at the game if we're playing competitive or whatever, then remember that there are going to be those people who might contest your spot, and this contestment is going to be okay for you, especially if you're, if you're in that, mid-game or late game, or early game, mid-game, late game situations. I mean, it's okay to have, those contestants, because again, you're going to be better off, making sure that you have the mats and stuff. Now, again, you want to effectively gain mats as quick as possible. You want to get your mats as quickly as possible. You want to be able to, get all these, these items done. So remember, get your mats before you start battles. Make sure that you're moving on the move, getting your mats, grabbing ammo if you can, grabbing weapons. I mean, these are the first few steps to being a successful, to being successful in Fortnite at all, is being able to get your mats, get your items, get the stuff that you need, That's something that you're going to find to help you a lot when you're playing the game. Now, many low-tier players, of course, even me, I've made this mistake before. Many low-tier players are going to immediately start getting into fights. Immediately starting to push off for situations and stuff, That's immediately kind of the thought process here. Remember that's kind of the thought process here. That's kind of what people are going to do. At the beginning, people are going to immediately start going into fights and stuff. You're going to see people who are going to immediately try to get into a fight because, they have their weapon and they're going to think, oh, I'm ready to roll. But, but remember, part of the situation is to, assess what you need to do. Obviously. You need to assess what you need to do. You need to be able to assess the situation, and if you have to, don't be afraid to come back. I mean, obviously, like there, you saw me dip out. I'm going to dip out for a reason, Now remember, I'm dipping out for a reason. It's not because I don't want to fight that. It's just because I don't have the mats for it. I only have, as you can see, I only got a little over maybe 400 mats, which is way more than enough now to get into a fight. But before that, I didn't have 400 mats to successfully fight this fight. And I wasn't going to have 400 mats to successfully fight this fight. So obviously, I backed off. I You know, and I'm coming back. And now that I've got my mats and stuff, now that I'm basically ready to go, I'm coming back to try and fight this fight. You know. And that's exactly what you need. You know. You gotta remember that, you know, at the end of the day, it's okay to retreat. To retreat if it's necessary. Remember that it's okay to retreat. You're not going to have to, you know, you're never going to be in an ideal situation where maybe everything works out in your favor. Now, I'm not saying that everything won't work out in your favor. You know, sometimes things just work out in your favor. You know, remember that sometimes things just work out in your favor. That gives you the advantage all the time. And, you know, of course, being consistent is the best way to have that advantage. Being consistent is probably, by far, the best way to get that advantage. And to be able to realistically, you know, do exactly what you need to do. Now, you know, anything that can, you know, that can help me, ideally. And, you know, maybe you can. But, you know, at the same time, landing in consistent zone is always going to be better than trying to land in every single zone in the area. Like, you know, again, this is going to be a perfect example of me showing you some stuff. Like for instance, if you try to land in Pleasant Park one time, then you try to land in Retail Row another time, then let's just say you try to land in Caddy Corner another time, maybe Fort Tillis another time, Steamy Stacks another time, Quakey Cliffs another time after that, Lazy Lake another time, Retail Row again, another round, and you keep doing that all the time. You're never going to get a consistent zone that you will know. If you keep landing, for instance, in my case, I'm landing always in Caddy Corner, because I'm always landing in Caddy Corner, this means that I'm going to have a consistent knowledge and consistent zone of what I'm going to do here. And because I'm going to have a consistent zone, consistent knowledge, and consistent reasoning, or, you know, consistency on that drop, I will know everything about that drop. I will know exactly where Kit will always spawn. I will know exactly where all the henchmeep are. I will know exactly where all the mats are. I will know exactly where every single thing is. And that's exactly what you want, is consistency. But anyway, I mean, with that having been said, this is pretty much the video. I know it's a bit of a different format. I did this commentary kind of live, I guess you could say, with my mic and everything, so you won't be hearing the voiceover from me, but, you know, you will have seen a plug somewhere in the video saying to like, subscribe, and be, and sub to the channel, subscribe to my Twitch channel, so I hope to see you all live on Twitch, but, yeah, you know, let's just go ahead and, I guess you could say, play out this particular round, see if we get any more, see if I can come up with any more info. But remember, just be consistent. You know, always know exactly where the stuff is that you want, what you need, you know, and everything. That's the best way to basically, survive. Basically, be able to, compete in this, zone. You know, and compete. You know, again, like I said, everyone's going to go for fights. Ignore the fights at first, because again, you're going to have to get at least 400 or so mats, maybe a little more, as fast as you can, obviously. That's part of the way to improve, that's part of the way to make sure that you are consistently at your peak when you enter a fight. Don't enter a fight with no mats. I mean, this is something that many low tiers, including me, have done before, is don't enter a fight with no mats at all. Don't enter a fight without anything to show for it. You know, because again, you're going to be having those players that are going to be looking to get right into a fight immediately, you know? And because they're going to be looking to get into a fight immediately, they're not going to have any mats. They're not going to have anything to show for it. And because, of course, they don't have anything to show for it, you know, when they run into somebody, they're going to probably get bumped. You know, take your time. Again, take your time. Always take your time. Make sure that you are at least somewhat to a degree set up with 400 mats or more. Because again, you know, remember that everyone is going to be looking, all the low tiers out there, including me, are going to be looking to get into a fight as soon as they can. Because, you know, let's face it, we think that because if we get into a fight early, we'll have, you know, we'll have our mats, we'll have our stuff sold, we'll have heals or whatever. And that's true. You know, that's very true. Remember that it's very true that getting into early fights means that you will be set up a lot better than most players. But, you know, you've also got to remember that overall, just being in early fights doesn't mean that you're going to be successful right off the bat. In fact, you know, like here, this is a good example of someone who, you know, really is, you know, ideally in the best situation right now, you know. Right here, like, you got someone here who's not in an ideal situation. He's running away. And because I'm in full health, I'm obviously better set up for it than him, you know. And I can basically, you know, stop him right there, you know. Now again, that's a situation where you gotta kind of determine is what you're doing, you know, is what you, do you have the mats? Do you have the stuff for this, you know? Because of course, if you have the stuff for this, of course, it's going to become much easier to be, you know, to be set up, you know, obviously. You know, and that's what I mean by, it's always a good idea to make sure that you are, you know, in the situation that is ideal for you. You know, you don't want to be in a situation that's not ideal for you, you know. And too many players are going to obviously go for the non-ideal situation. This is obvious. I mean, remember that obviously more players are going to be more for the non-ideal situation rather than the ideal, optimal situation, you know, that works. Don't get into fights. And you do want to get into fights, but remember, you want to also take your time. Take your time to get set up. Learn the situations. Get yourself set up. You know, learn to farm up mats. Learn to upgrade your weapons if you necessarily need to. You know, obviously also change how you, approach. Of course, once you've kind of set up your stuff, then you just go into map awareness. This is a perfect time to kind of go into map awareness. You know, I mean, obviously, don't stop farming mats if you can help it. You know, farm up every mat you can where you can. But at this point, ideally, if you've taken, like, for instance, Catty Corner. If you, for instance, taken Catty Corner, you're probably set up for in-game. So this means that you're now ready to basically work towards wherever you want to go. And, you know, one thing about being competitive, if you're going to be competitive, you know, consistency is always a great ideal for you to be in. You know, land in one spot and learn that spot top to bottom, you know. Once you do, it's going to be much easier for you to just be successful. Oh, speaking of success, we got somebody right there. So another thing is take your time. Take it slow at the beginning. Remember that ideally you want to be the person to engage in the beginning. You want to be the person engaging at the beginning of a fight. So if you got someone here, and you can hear this, and in my case, I know there's somebody here. Take your time. You know. Take your time. Get awareness of where the guy is. You know. If you don't know where the guy is, then, you know, like I said, take your time and be the first one. You gotta be the first person to take the shot. So, ideally, you want to be able to know where this. When you do engage in a fight, always remember to be the first person into the fight. Take your time. You know, get an ideal situation of where he is. If you can't find him, then let him go. You know. In this case, I don't know where that guy went. I'm going to just let him go for now because, again, I don't want to risk my position of not being the first shot. You know, ideally, get a survey awareness of where your people are, where the people are. You know, make sure that when you are doing that, you're of course aware of the situation. Ideally, once you've had this third party, for instance, like I'm here in a fight right now. Now, I want to be ideally just careful. I want us to take it slow. You know, there he is. Now take it slow. You don't have to be, you know. At this point, the ideal situation would be to, whoa, not do that. Okay, now we got this guy. Alright, so now we gotta back off. We gotta back off. This guy has first shot. We're gonna have to back off. We're just gonna have to back off. Make him waste shots. Just make him waste ammo. If this kid, if the guy gets first shot, then obviously just make him waste ammo. Back off. Back off. Don't worry about the fight. He's gonna find someone else to fight. And that's okay. Remember, it's okay that it's okay to back off. Remember that it's okay to back off. You want them to find a fight if they can't help it. Remember, ideally you want first shot. Well, as I want it in the end. But that's okay. At the end of the day, that's exactly the thing that you want. That's exactly how you'd like to play, ideally. Ideally, you'd like to play where you have the advantage. You have the situation under your control. Ideally, you want to be in the place that you are most comfortable. If you're not comfortable, and you don't get first shot, then back off. Then back off and run. If you find the first shot and you are comfortable with what you have good health, you have good items, good stuff, then go for it. Go for the fight, get aggressive. But remember, take your time when approaching. Once you've taken your time on the approach and you know exactly where the enemy is, if you can get the first shot or whatever, you're golden. You're golden, you're clear to engage. And end the fight quickly. And of course, end the fight quickly before it becomes out of control. Because again, if you're not ending the fight before it becomes out of control, then you're out of luck. You're out of luck, you're out of your league, and you're going to get crushed. But with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me today on this video. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you like the new format. This is probably going to be the format I'm going to be running on for a while. Or at least from this point on, per se. But yeah, at some point you probably saw me plug in a like button somewhere. You probably saw me plug in the subscribe and follow button somewhere. You probably somewhere saw a follow my Twitch channel. Hope to see you live on Twitch. But yeah, with that being said, I am live on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/FA_EYE. I am live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday for sure at around 8 p.m. PST or Pacific time. And yeah, with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me today on this video. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being here. And until the next one, everybody, this is FAIRI signing out and saying thank you for joining me. And until the next one, everybody. Until the next one, everybody. Farewell, everyone.